Welcome to this very special edition of the KAJ Masterclass Live, the show which ensures that you profit from your time spent here with experts, either through their industry insights, information, or simply learning from them. And today we have got Mette Reebirk, an inspiring author and executive coach, and she has dedicated over 2 decades to helping experienced leaders realize their true potential and free themselves from anxiety. Welcome to the show, Mette.
Thank you very much.
You are welcome to the show. You are welcome to India in this online format, in this digital format. You are joining us live, if I understand, from Copenhagen, Denmark.
Yes.
and
Yes.
and so that's the good part of technology, where people have thought something good and created something good. But here we'll be talking about challenging our own assumptions, the power of challenging our assumptions, how questioning one's thoughts can change your life. So we will try to understand things from that. Firstly, Mette, let's talk about curiosity. You wanted to have a discussion about with a curious person. A lot of curiosity is a part of our hallmark, but at the same time, when people are curious about things, people don't like it, and there is a whole world where people are talking about, that be a conformist and questioning is good. Here you are talking about questioning ourselves. Help us understand this part, this difference, as to how we how we calibrate these 2 parts of curiosity, as well as questioning our own assumptions or questioning our own thoughts.
Yeah. Actually, to be curious, it's very important not to be afraid. And very often, people are afraid because they believe something, they think something, and as long as they don't question what they are believing, they believe it to be true. And the moment they start to question what doesn't really feel good, they can get rid of, stories that they're telling themselves and believing to be true, so that they can kind of set themselves free. Many people believe that they are their thoughts and their feelings, but thoughts comes and go. We have thoughts and we have emotions, but we are not our thoughts. No, we are our belief, our emotions. To start to tell a little story here. I have been doing a lot of different things in my professional life, and for 8 years ago, I was laid off, and I was so fed up with corporate. So I started my own company, not really knowing what to do in my company. But after some years, I get the opportunity to work with experienced business people who had been laid off or who were not really feeling well in their positions. And when I met with them, they were not very self-confident, regardless of what they had achieved. And that puzzled me, because some of them had built up big companies, but still they were very insecure about whether, for instance, like their dads, their fathers were proud of them, or if they were good enough. And then I was curious about how come that so really brilliant people could be so insecure. And then I started to think about myself and all my worries about this and that. Also, when I started my own company, could I get enough clients, and were I good enough? And then actually 5 years ago, I got a little epiphany, because I came to realize that when I believed my thoughts, I was not feeling happy. But when I didn't believe them, I was okay. And then I spent the last 5 years digging into how our brain function, how our mind function, and this thing about thoughts. What is a thought? We have around 60, 80,000 thoughts a day. And The problem is not when we have good thoughts that create, nice emotions. But the problem is that when we attach to thoughts that generate emotions that make us feel bad, and that we do most of the time. We actually believe that all the stories that we are telling ourselves, because it feels so, oh, I can feel it. I can almost not breathe. I have something in my stomach. It's itching. I'm stressed. It must be true. The moment we start to examine what was it I thought just the moment before I felt something. Oh, I was in a small innocent moment believing that my gender was wrong, my age was wrong, my intellectual capacity was not good enough. But can I be 100% sure that that is correct? 100%? Or maybe not 100%. And in that moment, in that little moment, the feeling of insecurity, shame, fear starts to disappear. So I decided to write a book about it. So can I show my book here?
Of course, of course.
This is my book, and you can actually find it on Amazon. And it's about our thinking. The moment we believe our thinking, life is tough, not very good. The moment we don't believe it, we set ourselves free, and we can start to become much more curious, because there's nothing to be afraid of. The only thing we can lose is actually a story. For instance, there's so many young people out there, studying hard and want to become doctors and lawyers, and they have been telling themselves a story that they need to be a doctor because that is who we are. But that's just a story. So without that story, I'm going to become a doctor and I'm not really very happy in my studies, then you can change. You can choose something else. The only thing you can lose is a story. And, very often people tell me, okay, describe yourself. Who are you? Make a presentation. And then I can tell them about my books and the work I do. But actually, that's not who I am. That's what I'm doing. Who I am is actually much more awareness of what I'm doing. So, and that's not just for me, it's for all of us. But we don't know it. And when we don't know it, we can not really do anything about it. Then we are on cruise control. So I can see that now when I have got this kind of insight, a lot of things has changed in my life. And when my client starts to realize that they don't need to, keep on to thoughts that don't, make them feel good, something magical happens. Because then suddenly having, a certain age, wanting to do something totally different, it's no longer really a problem. It's an adventure. And there's nothing to be afraid of. So in that moment where you set yourself free of what you are thinking to be true, that didn't really lead to anything good in your life become magic. And actually, life has the whole time been magic. And it becomes much kinder because you become kinder towards yourself. And when you are kind towards yourself, it's much easier to be kind towards others. Okay, does this make sense?
Of course, of course. It makes a whole lot of sense. And for the audience, I'm trying to understand it better, and as simple a manner as possible. We talk about thoughts, that if you detach yourself from your thoughts, then life becomes better. But how can one detach or separate themselves from their own thoughts? Is it that easy? What is the mechanism to do so? Because thoughts are made up of so many things. It is about the present, it is also about the past with memories and about so many instances, people, happenings, continuity, about history, so many things. You know, how do you, memories are also great. They fill your life with pleasure and happiness. That's what you say, create memories. How, and they are also part of your thoughts. So how do I separate them? And a couple of things here. Also, when you are in this thoughtful mood, how do you differentiate between thoughts and ideas? Where does assumptions come in? What about self belief? Does it clash with thoughts? Because many a times great ideas have been, have clashed with others' thoughts. And like even for planes, you see, Oliver and Wilbur Wright, their own family had their different thoughts on that. To help us understand in this backdrop several things at the same time, Mette. But you are the master for today, and all these are so related, interrelated. I thought, why not put them together so that you can answer them your way at your own pace?
Yeah, actually, it's very simple. But we tend to make things more complicated than it is. Every time something feels not good, not nice, it's because you believe something to be true, which is not true, but you don't know it. And, this attachment, if you over many years maybe have, told yourself that I'm not good enough, I'm not whatever, huh? Then you have reached a point where you actually innocently believe that what you tell yourself is who you are. So what is very important is to it's not enough just to to understand what I'm saying verbally. You need to have a kind of an open window to your soul, and have this little, oh, could there be something here? Because it also demands courage in French, courageous, because you need to let go of something. You need to let go of a story you have been telling yourself and got used to, even though that it hurts you. So the difficult part here is to let go of something. A lot of, for instance, also violent, couples, a husband who beats his wife. Very many women, they stay very long in those kind of relationships, because they are also telling themselves a story, maybe also invited by the husband, and what he's telling, the ladies. But in the moment where they stop believing, they have this open window and something else can happen. And, it is actually so simple that the moment you see it with your inner kind of soul, you need to laugh, because it's, my God, I've spent so many years believing that I had to, or I should. If not, I was not me. But actually, it's just a thought. And without that thought, in this moment, present moment, how's everything? Everything is good. I have a roof. I have a kid. It's raining. It's good for the plants. It's okay. I'm okay. But then if, the past, the very positive you can say about the past is actually that it's past. It's over. What happened then? Can you prove it? Yeah, you can tell me a story about it. But it's over. And tomorrow, it's not yet there. So the moment you try to solve problem in the future, which is not yet a problem, and you try to solve it in the present moment, it doesn't make sense. It's crazy. So every time you try to get back to the present moment, you will see that you have everything you need. And the next moment will be created by this moment. But if you're never really where you are, which is the only thing that exists, suddenly, you will feel very insecure. And you will try to make a happy past in the future. And that's not going to happen.
Right.
So the problem, the trick here is to become aware of what you're thinking and what it does to you. And, feelings, what you can feel, it's chemistry. You can make yourself very, very sick. Actually, no one can hurt me except me. So when I meet you and you tell me, oh, Mette, you should definitely, boom, boom, boom. Instead of taking it personally, I meet you through your story about me. That means that actually you do not meet me, you meet yourself, but you don't know it. So when I know this, I can meet you without any kind of fear. So when you tell me what I ought to do, maybe it's not about me, but about you. And then I can approach you and I can say, I can hear what you're saying. And if you want, we can have a nice cup of coffee together. And if I can help you, I would love to. And maybe there's also something I can learn. So, you said something about, a thought and an idea and
Assumptions.
And
Self-belief.
Yeah, that's just a story. And the only thing you can lose is actually a story. And without that story, are you okay? Yeah, I think so.
Absolutely. Let's look at it from a business perspective.
Yes.
That if you are in the present, then it's fine. If you try to solve future problems or problems which are there or not there, then it becomes a different issue altogether. In terms of business leaders, who you advise, who consult you, I want to understand from their perspective, what problem do they come with so that we know about. Second thing, a lot of businesses are about planning for the future. How do you manage these two things together, being in the present as well as plan for the future, maybe not solve the problems of the future, but plan for the future as a business leader? That is sometimes, you always worry about. For example, artificial intelligence is there. A lot of people say good, bad, whatever it is, but a lot of business which are dependent on, say, manual labor or a lot of work related to this may need to plan for the future, or they may suddenly get wiped out in the next 2 years. And all that pressure is either on the founder or the CEO or the manager or whoever it is. Help us in that perspective.
Yeah. Leaders, a major challenge for many leaders is actually that they do not have much self they don't know themselves. So they are always, telling themselves stories about, how they should be as a CEO and how things should look. Very often they are kind of battling with the reality. They want reality to be different. But reality is reality. So if you fight against reality and at the same time have to predict the future, then it's very, very difficult for you to actually, hit the when if you're trying to shoot, to hit the goal. So one thing is that more leaders at all levels need to work with themselves to become aware of what am I telling myself now? What is it that I'm seeing here? What my employees, what are they telling me that I don't want to hear? Because I have another story going on that I like more. So get to know themselves better and to make strategy, actually very, very few strategies work. They and then suddenly there's a corona, and then suddenly there's a war in Ukraine, and then suddenly, we are all the time hit by reality. So I actually advise my clients to become much more aware of the now, because that is actually the key to the next now. And to have, trust both in yourself, but also in the people surrounded you. Because the moment you need to have a direction. If you only have goals and something hits you, you will be paralyzed. But if you have a direction, you can navigate. Slalom, baby. Because you know where you are heading. So, it's not enough just to have KPIs. You need to have more than that. So self-development, leadership development, business development today is actually the key to tomorrow. So, but then again, you have to let go of stories that you may have learned and paid very, very much money to gain, like, for instance, like an MBA. Let go. Because you need to see the reality as it is. And what is it that you then see? Maybe you see new opportunities. And if you don't see it, you don't see it. And if you don't see it, right?
Right.
And I think that this has nothing to do with culture, actually. It's a human thing.
Absolutely.
Was it an answer you could? Does it make sense?
Whole lot of sense. As you said, today is the key for tomorrow.
Yeah.
That is the answer, and I guess that is why I was trying to put it, etch it in my mind. Sometimes, start looking at the future a bit more. Sometimes I have to do, because I need to ask the leaders, because they can look into the future, because they are the experts of whatever they do. I only ask questions. So sometimes I need to look at it like that. But this is very much, something that will help me and a lot of, the audience in the coming days, whenever they are watching this program, listening to this program, or even reading blog about this particular interview of ours. There is much to learn about all these things, Mette, and I'm sure a lot of questions people will have. So, what are the things that you have dealt in your book? The tipping point life force comes from questioning your thoughts.
Yeah, it's actually a lot of what we're talking about here. You know, sometimes you need to be shown things many times to get it. So my book is actually kind of an opportunity to meet your thoughts disguised in many ways. So suddenly you start to be curious and think about, okay, I can recognize this, but I didn't thought about it that way. And when you start to look at yourself from a little, it's inside out, but you need to be a little outside of yourself to look into yourself. Very often we have, a voice up here saying, this is good. And then there's another one saying, no, don't do it. And then there's this third one standing out here looking at those two. That is actually, and then I talk to you. And actually, maybe it's a little disturbing because I have already something going on in here. I'm very busy. So my book is actually a mirror that you can look into yourself through and start questioning what you believe to be true that may not really do you any good, even though that you may believe that that is who you are, because it feels so so it must be true. So this is actually what my books is all about. I think that when you read it, you will become very, is it, my God? And then you will start to test out things, because don't believe what I'm saying. You need to make it your own. And in that moment, there will be a life before and a life after.
Absolutely. Yeah. Absolutely. So, what's the best way for people who want to learn more from you, connect with you? What's the best way? Those people who want to connect with you professionally, and also those people who want to get your book, where do they do so?
The book, they can find it on Amazon, and connect with me on LinkedIn, write me, share questions. I'm very, very open. And so yeah, this insight of, it's not mine, it's ours. I just happen to see a little something magic, and I want to share it. Yeah.
Absolutely. Absolutely. On this note, it's a wrap on this very special edition of the KAJ Masterclass Live. Thank you so much indeed for joining us.
Thank you too, my dear.